The roar of the crowd, the glare of the spotlights, the admiration in the eyes of millions. Shaquille O'Neal, the charismatic giant of the basketball courts, the titan of business, was used to being the center of attention. But deep within his soul, a restlessness grew, a questioning that prevented him from settling for the status quo. He, a man who had always preached equality and respect, felt that he had never truly experienced life in the shoes of an ordinary citizen, stripped of his aura of celebrity. The seed of the idea germinated during a casual lunch with a longtime friend, a fellow who, like SHAQ, had experienced the roller coaster of life. "It's amazing how people treat you differently depending on how you dress," the friend commented, after recounting an experience at a luxury store. "One day you're the cat's pajamas, the next, a mere invisible mortal." The friend's words hammered in SHAQ's mind. He had always believed that respect should be a universal value, an inalienable right, regardless of social class, appearance, or status. But was that belief shared by everyone? Did people treat him with courtesy and attention because of his character, or simply because of his name and fortune? This incandescent reflection impelled him to take a bold step, a social experiment that would force him to confront the harsh reality of prejudice. He, the global star, the successful entrepreneur, decided to immerse himself in anonymity, in a universe where his fame was worth no more than a penny. "I want to know how people would treat me if all they saw was just a man seemingly with nothing to offer," he confided to a small group of confidants. "I want to find out if respect is a genuine value or just a social mask." The preparation for this journey of self-discovery was meticulous. SHAQ gathered a team of professionals who seemed to have stepped straight out of a spy movie: skilled makeup artists, disguise experts who worked behind the scenes in Hollywood, a talented cameraman who became his confidant and the guardian of his journey. "This isn't just about changing clothes, it's about changing identity," explained the head makeup artist, a man with piercing eyes and nimble hands. "You need to transform into someone else, someone who has nothing in common with Shaquille O'Neal." The metamorphosis began with his hair, which was bleached and tousled, losing its usual shine and perfection. A false beard, carefully glued on, covered his chin and cheeks, giving him a disheveled look. Stained teeth, the result of a complex makeup technique, completed the transformation, making him look much older and more downtrodden. Worn clothes, a tattered coat, faded pants, and a frayed cap dressed him like a man who had been forgotten by time. An old cane, with dark and worn wood, completed the illusion, adding a touch of frailty and vulnerability. As he looked at himself in the mirror, SHAQ felt a strange mixture of excitement and apprehension. He didn't recognize himself. He no longer saw the charismatic giant, the hero of the courts. He was just a man, an anonymous face among so many others. "If I'm not SHAQ, who am I?" he joked, his voice hoarse and insecure, while adjusting the worn cap. "Just another guy trying to find his place in the world." The first act of his journey took him to his motorcycle dealership, a temple of luxury and speed, located in an upscale area of the city. SHAQ chose that place as the starting point for his experiment, a place where the contrast between his real identity and his disguised persona would be more accentuated. The facade of the store was imposing, with large glass windows that revealed the gleaming motorcycles, each one a work of art on wheels. Seeing his name on the sign, SHAQ felt a brief flash of pride, but that feeling soon gave way to anxiety and curiosity. He entered the store, his feet dragging on the polished floor, and immediately felt the weight of the stairs. There were no more warm smiles, silent admiration, instant respect. Now, he was just a man in worn clothes, who walked with difficulty, leaning on a cane. The salespeople, accustomed to dealing with wealthy clients, watched him with a mixture of indifference and disdain. SHAQ approached a high-end sports bike, an imposing machine with aggressive lines and vibrant colors. He lightly touched the chrome tank, feeling the cold metal under his fingers. "Do you need something?" asked a salesperson, a man with a thin face and calculating eyes, in a tone of voice that barely disguised disdain. "Yes," replied SHAQ, struggling to appear hesitant, as if the words cost him a great effort. "How much does this bike cost?" The salesperson raised an eyebrow, clearly assessing whether it was worth his time to spend time with this scruffy-looking man. "This bike costs $25,000, he said, emphasizing the value as if it were an unattainable mountain, something beyond the reach of a fellow like that. "But if you're looking for something more affordable, we have used models out there," he added, pointing towards the entrance with an impatient gesture. SHAQ's blood boiled. He knew he was in an experiment, that it was part of a bigger plan, but the feeling of being treated as less, of being disregarded and ignored because of his appearance, hurt more than he imagined. Indignation struggled to manifest, but he held back, determined not to ruin the experience. He asked about financing options, feigning interest, but the salesperson laughed, a short, mocking sound, before answering. Look, financing may not be a good idea for you. These bikes require a certain financial commitment, you understand? The salesperson's intonation implied that SHAQ was unable to afford such a commitment. SHAQ thanked him, keeping his composure with great difficulty, and walked away, feigning interest in other bikes while observing how the salesperson interacted with other customers. He noticed that a different treatment was given to those who flaunted expensive clothes, sparkling jewelry, and luxury cars. For those, the salesperson transformed, smiling, offering drinks and details about the bikes with genuine animation. The next day, SHAQ returned, but this time he stayed outside, sitting on a bench near the store entrance. He watched the customers arrive, their cars, their clothes, their gestures, and noticed a pattern. People with a humble appearance, in worn clothes and simple accessories, were ignored, treated coldly, as if they were invisible. While the well-dressed customers, in impeccable suits, gleaming jewelry, and designer bags, were greeted with a red carpet, with warm smiles and all the attention in the world. A family with 2 young children caught his attention. The children, 2 adorable girls with curious eyes and curly hair, were enchanted by a blue motorcycle in the window. They pointed at it, smiling, asking their father to let them get closer. SHAQ saw the father enter the store, clearly nervous, while trying to keep his daughters under control. The girls ran around him, skipping and shouting with joy, and the father felt awkward, trying to avoid any disturbance. "Please don't touch anything," said the same salesperson as the day before, as soon as he saw them. "These bikes are too expensive for any trouble, you understand?" The salesperson's voice was harsh and impatient, showing minimal consideration for the family. The children's eyes lost their sparkle, their faces contracted in disappointment, and the father muttered apologies before leaving with his head down, his hands on his daughter's shoulders. SHAQ felt a pang in his chest, a wave of indignation and sadness that left him speechless. He remembered his own childhood, how his parents struggled to give the best to him and his siblings, and felt ashamed to witness such injustice. He knew he had to act, that he could not allow that situation to continue. On the 3rd day, SHAQ returned to the motorcycle dealership, determined to reveal the truth, to unmask the prejudice that was hidden behind the facade of professionalism. He entered the store disguised again, but this time he waited for the right moment, like a predator waiting for the perfect instant to strike. He walked among the bikes, observing the salespeople with a sharp gaze, and stopped in front of the same salesperson who had been so rude to him and the family. "I don't think you recognized me," said SHAQ in a deep and firm voice, as he took off his cap, his false beard, and his false teeth, revealing his true face. "I am Shaquille O'Neal," he announced, his voice echoing through the hall, like the thunder that announces a storm. The salesperson who had disrespected him froze, pale, speechless, his eyes wide with astonishment. His open mouth produced no sound, such was his surprise. The other employees stopped what they were doing, gathering around them, confused and nervous. "In the last few days, I've been here watching how you treat people," SHAQ continued, his voice full of emotion, but maintaining a calm tone. "And what I saw was disrespect, prejudice, lack of empathy. That's going to change now," he stated, with the determination of someone who is willing to move mountains. "I built this store based on values like respect, dignity, equality," he continued, facing the employees, one by one. "If you can't treat someone with humanity, with consideration, simply because you think they don't have money or aren't well-dressed, then you don't deserve to be here," he declared, leaving no room for doubts or justifications. He ordered mandatory training for all employees, focused on empathy, emotional intelligence, and customer service. He demanded that everyone learn to listen, to understand the needs and desires of each customer, without judgment or prejudice. He didn't want his store to be a place of discrimination, but rather a place where everyone felt welcome, valued, and respected. He also made a public apology to the family that had been disrespected, a sincere and moving plea. He invited them back to the store, and gifted them with a blue motorcycle that the children admired so much, a gesture of generosity that touched everyone's hearts. The cameraman, who had documented the entire experience, posted the video on SHAQ's channel, and it quickly went viral, with millions of views, likes, and emotional comments. People from all over the world shared their own stories of discrimination, of prejudice, of pain, and praised SHAQ's initiative, his courage, his humanity. The video was not just mere entertainment, but a powerful denunciation against inequality and contempt. The story inspired other companies to revise their practices, to rethink their values, to change the way they treated their customers. SHAQ became an example, a leader who was not afraid to use his voice, his influence, to fight for a more just and egalitarian world. He launched a national program to train teams in empathy and respect, an ambitious project that aimed to transform the country's business culture. He wanted to create a world where people were valued for who they are, and not for what they appear to be, a world where respect was the fundamental value. Months later, SHAQ revisited the motorcycle dealership, a transformed place, with a different energy, a more welcoming and inclusive environment. The employees, now smiling and attentive, welcomed all customers with respect and consideration, regardless of their appearance or social class. They had learned the lesson. They had understood the importance of empathy, equality, and respect. "I learned something very important from this experience," said SHAQ in front of the camera, with a sincere smile on his face. "Change begins within each one of us. When we treat others with respect, with dignity, with love, we transform the world around us. And that is our responsibility, our duty, our legacy." He mounted a motorcycle, a state-of-the-art sports model, and accelerated smoothly, leaving with one last message, a piece of advice that would echo in the hearts of all those who saw his story. Respect is not a choice, it is a daily commitment, an obligation that we must fulfill, not only with others, but also with ourselves. And with that, the gentle giant, the charismatic star, the man who had immersed himself in anonymity to rescue the essence of respect, disappeared into the vastness of the city, leaving behind a powerful, inspiring, and transformative message.